The stars looked like tiny dots of light against the black sky as the small human ship moved closer to the huge alien space station. The station looked like a giant star with 5 long arms coming out of a round center. Each arm had many lights, and ships coming and going. Inside the human ship, Lisa Wilson checked all the systems one more time. She was 30 years old with short brown hair and strong muscles from years of special training. Her blue uniform had the symbol of Earth on the shoulder, a circle with blue and green colors. Lisa was not just any human. She had special changes to her body that made her stronger than normal humans. Her bones were harder to break. Her muscles were 3 times stronger than they looked, and she could think faster than most people. The aliens she was going to meet were called the Voskin. They were huge, almost 9 feet tall, with thick muscles and skin that looked like green and blue scales. They had eyes that glowed yellow in the dark and teeth that could tear through metal. The Voskin ruled many star systems and thought they were better than everyone else. They had fought and won against 12 other alien races, but they had never met humans before. Lisa took a deep breath as her ship connected to the alien station with a loud clank. She gathered her papers and put them in a case. The case had a special lock that only she could open. Inside were plans for peace between humans and the Voskin. But Lisa knew the aliens might not want peace. They might want to fight instead. The door opened with a hiss of air. Lisa stepped out and looked up at 3 Voskin warriors. They all wore black armor with red symbols showing their rank. The tallest one in the middle was Commander Zira. Her scales had more blue than the others, showing she was older and more powerful. "You are smaller than I expected," Zira said. Her voice was deep and rough, like stones rubbing together. "The human ships we destroyed were bigger than you." Lisa stood straight and looked directly into the alien's yellow eyes. "Those were not warships. They were science ships with no weapons. We sent them to learn, not to fight." Zira made a sound like a laugh. "You waste ships to collect rocks and gas. But now you come alone to talk. Are all humans this foolish?" "I come with respect," Lisa said. She put her hand to her chest and bowed her head slightly, the way Voskin warriors greeted each other. Zira looked surprised for a moment. The other warriors whispered to each other. Lisa had studied Voskin customs for months before this trip. She knew that showing respect was important to them. "Follow me, human," Zira said. "The Empress wants to see what a human looks like before we decide if your kind is worth keeping alive." Lisa walked behind the huge aliens down a long hallway. The gravity was stronger here, making each step harder. She had trained for this too, spending months in rooms with extra gravity. Her legs hurt, but she did not show it. The Voskin respected strength, not weakness. They entered a huge room with a ceiling that seemed to reach the stars. Sitting on a throne made of black stone was the Empress of the Voskin. She was even larger than Zira, with scales that shimmered between green and blue. Her eyes were bright orange, and she wore armor made of some metal Lisa had never seen before. "So this is a human," the Empress said. Her voice filled the room like thunder. Small, soft, weak. "I expected more from the creatures that destroyed our scout ships." Lisa stepped forward. "Your ships fired first, Empress. We defended ourselves." The Empress stood up, towering over Lisa like a mountain over a hill. "Yet you seek peace now. Why? Because war helps no one." Lisa replied. "We can trade, we can learn from each other. We can both become stronger." The Empress laughed. "You speak of strength. What does a small creature like you know of strength?" Lisa knew this was the moment she had prepared for. The Voskin only respected those who could match them physically. "I offer a demonstration," Lisa said, "if I may." The Empress waved her hand. "One of my warriors will show you true strength." A Voskin female named Krell stepped forward. She was younger than Zira, with bright green scales and muscles that looked like they could bend steel. "Choose your challenge, human," Krell said with a smile that showed her sharp teeth. Lisa pointed to a metal bar on the wall. It was used for Voskin strength training. "Pull-ups," she said. "Simple but effective." Krell laughed. "That bar is made for Voskin. You would tear your arms off trying to lift your weight on it." Lisa walked to the bar and looked up. It was almost 12 feet off the ground. The Voskin watched with amusement as Lisa jumped. Her enhanced muscles launched her higher than any normal human could go. She grabbed the bar and began to do pull-ups 1, 2, 3. The room grew quiet as she continued. 10, 15, 20. When she dropped back to the ground, the Voskin were silent. Lisa was not even breathing hard. The genetic changes to her body made this possible. The Empress stepped closer, looking at Lisa with new interest. Perhaps there is more to humans than we thought, she said. Tell me about this piece you offer. Lisa opened her case and took out the papers. As she began to explain the trade agreements and borders, the Empress listened carefully. For the first time in Voskin history, they were considering peace instead of war. The human had earned enough respect to be heard on a ship far away. Susan Taylor watched through Lisa's hidden camera. The first contact was going better than expected, but Susan knew the Voskin were still dangerous. One demonstration would not change thousands of years of Voskin aggression. The real test was still to come. The meeting with the Empress lasted for 3 hours. Lisa explained the human proposal for peace. The Voskin could keep control of their current star systems. Humans would stay in their own space. But they would trade goods, technology, and knowledge. The Empress listened with her orange eyes fixed on Lisa. When Lisa finished, the Empress stood up. You speak well for such a small creature, she said, but words are easy. Show me what humans can offer, that the Voskin need. Lisa nodded and touched a button. On her wrist, a small hologram appeared showing a strange metal that glowed blue. This is quantum steel, she said. We discovered it 5 years ago. It is lighter than your armor, but 10 times stronger. It can stop energy weapons and repair small damage to itself. The Empress leaned forward, her interest clear. The Voskin were warriors above all else. Better armor meant better chances in battle. And you would trade this with us, she asked. Why not keep such an advantage? Because we have something better, Lisa replied. And because we face a common enemy. The hologram changed, showing a dark shape that looked like a cloud of smoke with red eyes. These are the Void. They live between stars. They consume energy and life. They have already destroyed 3 systems at the edge of human space. We believe they are moving toward Voskin territory next. The Empress hissed a sound of anger and surprise. You bring threats to my throne. Human, not threats. Empress facts. Lisa stood her ground. The Void cannot be fought alone. They feel no pain, they have no bodies to hit. They absorb energy weapons. But together our scientists have found a way to harm them. The hologram showed a small device that pulsed with white light. This creates a field that makes the Void solid for a few minutes, then they can be destroyed with normal weapons. We have the science, you have the warriors. Together we can stop them before they consume both our peoples. Commander Zira, who had been silent, stepped forward. This could be human trickery, Empress. A way to make us lower our defenses. The Empress looked at Lisa for a long moment. I will consider your words, she finally said. Commander Zira will show you to quarters. You will stay until I decide. Lisa bowed her head. Thank you, Empress. Zira led Lisa through more hallways to a small room. It was made for Voskin, so everything was too big. The bed was twice as long as she needed. The chair came up to her chest. Wait here, human, Zira said. Food will come soon. Do not leave, or you will be killed. When Zira left, Lisa sat on the edge of the giant bed and touched her wrist again. This time she was sending a message back to Earth. The Empress is thinking about it, she whispered. The mention of the Void got her attention. Good, Susan replied from Earth. But be careful, Lisa. Our probes show Voskin ships moving toward human space. They may be planning something while talking about peace. Lisa frowned. The Empress seemed interested in working together. Susan sighed. The Empress, maybe, but not all Voskin feel the same. We have reports of a group called the Pure Scale. They believe all non-Voskin should be destroyed. They might try to stop any peace. Lisa nodded. I will watch for them, she said. Then she ended the transmission, and waited. Food came an hour later, brought by a smaller Voskin female. She had lighter scales, almost white with green spots. Her name was Tella, and she was not a warrior but a scholar. I brought food that should be safe for humans, Tella said, setting down a tray. The meat is cooked. The fruits are sweet. You have no fangs, so I cut everything small. Thank you, Lisa said, surprised by the thoughtfulness. Tella watched Lisa with curious eyes. I have studied other species, she said, most fight or run from. The Voskin. You offer peace. While Lisa took a bite of the meat which tasted like spicy beef. Humans prefer cooperation to conflict, she said. We only fight when we must. Tella sat in the large chair, making it look almost normal-sized. I have read reports of your battles with the Kralian fleet, she said. They say one human ship destroyed 5 Kralian war cruisers. How Lisa smiled. The Kralians attacked a human colony. We had to defend it. Our ships are smaller but faster. Our weapons are precise. We hit vital systems while avoiding their main weapons. The Voskin scholar leaned forward with interest. Tell me more about humans, she asked. Your biology, your history, your technology. For the next 2 hours, Lisa explained human history and science. Tella asked many questions and took notes on a device that looked like a glowing tablet. Lisa realized this was part of the test. The Empress wanted to learn about humans before deciding about peace. Suddenly, an alarm sounded loud and shrill. Tella jumped up. Her scales changed color, becoming darker with fear. What is that? Lisa asked. Standing up, attack alarm. Tella said, all scholars to safety rooms. All warriors to battle stations. Who is attacking? Lisa asked, thinking of the void. Was she too late? Tella shook her head. I do not know, she said. But you must stay here, it is safest. After Tella left. Lisa waited for a few minutes, then went to the door. It was locked. She examined it carefully, then took a small tool from her boot. The genetic changes to her body included better eyesight and steadier hands. She picked the lock in under a minute. The hallway was empty. Everyone had gone to their stations. Lisa moved quickly, staying close to the wall. She needed to find out what was happening. If the void had arrived, both humans and Voskin were in danger. She found a computer terminal in a small room. The symbols were Voskin, but Lisa had studied their language. She tapped on the screen, bringing up information about the alarm. It wasn't the void. It was humans. 3 human ships had appeared near the station and were not responding to Voskin signals. Lisa frowned. Earth had not sent more ships. She had to get to the command center. The command center was on the top level of the station. Lisa took a lift tube that shot her upward at high speed. When the doors opened, she saw Chaos Voskin warriors were shouting orders. The main screen showed 3 ships that looked human, but something was wrong about them. The design was slightly different. The Empress stood in the center of the room with Zira beside her. She turned when Lisa entered. Your kind attacks while speaking of peace. The Empress roared. Her orange eyes blazed with anger. You are no better than the Kralians. Those are not Earth ships, Lisa said, stepping forward. Look at the design. The engine placement is wrong. The weapons are on the wrong side. These are fakes. Zira hissed. They bear human markings. They use human signals. They are designed to look human. Lisa insisted. Someone wants to stop our peace. Talks, the Empress growled. Show me proof or I will destroy your real ships in response. Lisa looked at the screen, studying the fake ships. Then she saw it. Proof, she said, pointing. There on the side of the lead ship. The marking is mirrored. Human text. Reads left to right. That text is backward. Someone copied our ships but got the details wrong. The Empress looked closer. Then she turned to Zira. Scan those ships more deeply. She ordered. Ignore the outer hull. Look at the energy signatures. Zira worked. The controls. The screen changed, showing energy patterns inside the ships. Those are not human power cores, she said after a moment. They are Kralian. The Empress turned to Lisa with new understanding. The Kralians, she said, they seek revenge for their Defeat. They make it look like humans attack us. Lisa nodded. The Kralians want humans and Voskin to fight each other. Then they can defeat both of us. When we are weak, the Empress made a decision. Open fire, Zira, she ordered. Destroy those false ships. Show these Kralians that the Voskin are not so easily tricked. The station weapons powered up huge beams of energy shot out, striking the fake ships. They exploded in bright flashes of light. The Empress looked at Lisa. You have proven your words, human, she said. Perhaps peace between us is possible after all. The next morning, Lisa woke to the sound of heavy footsteps outside her door. Commander Zira entered without knocking. The Empress requests your presence, she said. Her voice was less hostile than before. Lisa quickly got ready. She followed Zira through the station, noticing how other Voskin looked at her, some with curiosity, some with respect, a few with clear hatred. The news of the fake human ships had spread through the station. The throne room was different today. A large table had been set up. With maps and holograms, the Empress stood at the head with several Voskin military leaders. They were planning something. The human. The Empress said when Lisa entered, You helped us avoid a trap. Now you will help us. Plan. Lisa approached the table. It showed star maps of both human and Voskin space. Between them was a dark area marked with red symbols. The void, we have confirmed your warning. The Empress said, The void creatures have been seen at the edge of our territory. 3 mining outposts have gone silent. Their energy signatures disappeared. Lisa nodded grimly. The void consumed all forms of energy, including the life energy of living beings. Nothing remained after they passed. The Empress pointed to the map. The creatures move in a pattern, she said. They take the easiest targets first. Small outposts, research stations, they avoid heavily defended areas like predators, Lisa said. They seek the easiest prey. A Voskin military leader named Vrax slammed her fist on the table. We are not prey, she growled. We are Voskin. We do not hide. The Empress held up her hand. Patience, Vrax, she said. We will fight, but we will fight smart. She turned to Lisa. Tell us about these weapons that make the void solid. Lisa touched her wrist computer, bringing up detailed plans. The device creates a quantum field, she explained. It forces the void to maintain a single state, instead of existing in multiple states at once. For about 3 minutes, they become solid enough to be damaged by physical weapons. Energy weapons still don't work. How many of these devices do humans have? Zira asked. 15. Lisa replied. We can make more, but it takes time. The materials are rare. The Empress studied the plans carefully. We will need at least 50 to protect our main world, she said. Can your people share the technology so we can build our own? Lisa nodded. That was part of our peace proposal. The plans are yours as soon as the treaty is signed, Vrax hissed. This human holds our survival hostage. She said we should take the technology. The Empress silenced her with a look. We are not thieves, Vrax. We are warriors. There is no honor in stealing what is offered freely. She turned back to Lisa. But we must move quickly. The void will not wait for diplomatic procedures, Lisa agreed. We can begin immediately. I have authority to sign on behalf of Earth. As they discussed the details of the treaty and the joint defense plan, the door to the throne room burst open. A group of Voskin warriors rushed in. Their scales were painted with black symbols. Lisa recognized them from her briefing. Pure scale extremists. Traitor, one of them shouted, pointing at the Empress. You would dilute our strength with human weakness. The pure scale will not allow it. The Empress stood tall, her hand moving to her weapon. These fools again, she said. Zira, arrest them. But before Zira could move, the pure scale warriors attacked. They had weapons hidden under their armor, energy blades that glowed red. The Empress guards moved too. Protect her. The throne room erupted in combat. Lisa dove under the table as energy blasts flew overhead. She watched as Voskin fought Voskin. The pure scale were outnumbered, but fought with fanatic intensity. One of the attackers saw Lisa hiding, aimed his weapon at her. His scales were dark green with rage. Humans will never pollute Voskan blood. He snarled. Lisa rolled away as he fired. The energy blast hit the floor where she had been hiding. The genetic enhancements gave her faster reflexes than a normal human. She grabbed a metal rod that had fallen from the table and waited for her moment. The pure-scale warrior moved closer, thinking she was cornered. When he was 3 steps away, Lisa sprang forward. The rod struck his weapon, knocking it from his hand. She used her momentum to slide between his legs, coming up behind him. Before he could turn, she struck the back of his knees where Voskan armor was weakest. The warrior fell with a roar of pain. Lisa picked up his dropped weapon and fired it, hitting him in the shoulder. He collapsed unconscious. Around the room, the battle was ending. The Empress guards had subdued most of the attackers, but Vrax, the military leader, was fighting with the pure scale. Not against them, Lisa realized. With shock, Vrax was one of them. The Empress saw it too. "Traitor," she shouted. Advancing on Vrax, Vrax fired at the Empress. The blast hit her armor, knocking her back. The Empress stumbled but did not fall. Her armor smoking where the blast hit. Lisa saw her chance. She aimed the captured weapon and fired at Vrax. The shot hit the Voskan in the arm, spinning her around. The Empress recovered and charged forward. Her own weapon fired a blast that hit Vrax square in the chest. The traitor fell to the ground. The room grew quiet as the last of the pure scale were captured or killed. The Empress looked at Lisa, who still held the weapon. "You fought well, human," she said. "Despite your size, you took down a Voskan warrior, and you saved me from Vrax. I will not forget this." Lisa lowered the weapon. "I did what was necessary, Empress. Our peoples need each other now more than ever." The Empress nodded, looking at the fallen pure-scale members. "Their hatred has blinded them to the true threat," she said. "The Void cares not for our differences. It will consume us all the same." Lisa stepped over the bodies to the table where the treaty lay. The attack had not damaged it. She picked up the pen designed for Voskan hands. It was almost too big for her. "Shall we make history, Empress?" she asked. The Empress took the pen, her massive scaled hand dwarfing Lisa's. Together, they signed the treaty. The first peace between humans and Voskan in galactic history. As the remaining Voskan leaders pledged their support to the treaty and the joint defense plan, Lisa sent a message to Earth. "The treaty is signed," she reported. "The Voskan have confirmed void activity. We begin joint operations immediately." Susan replied with relief. "Well done, Lisa. But be careful. The pure scale attack shows there are still Voskan who resist this alliance. Watch your back." Lisa looked around the room. The Empress was giving orders for the pure scale prisoners to be taken away. Zira was organizing defense plans. Tella the scholar was recording everything for Voskan history. For now, at least, the alliance was holding. But the real test would come when they faced the Void together. The Void would not wait, and would not negotiate. It would come consuming everything in its path. Only together did humans and Voskan stand a chance. 2 weeks after the treaty signing, Lisa stood on the bridge of the Voskan warship Fang of Dawn. It was the largest vessel in the Voskan fleet, almost a mile long, with weapons that could destroy small moons. The ship had been modified to accommodate the human scientists and their equipment. One section now had Earth normal gravity and air mixture. Lisa watched as Voskan crew worked alongside humans. Technicians from both species were installing the quantum field generators that would make the Void solid. The alliance was working better than anyone had expected. The Voskan respected strength, and the humans had proven themselves strong in different ways. Commander Zira approached Lisa. "The fleet is ready," she said. 15 Voskan warships, 20 human cruisers, all armed with the quantum technology. We move against the Void in 6 hours. Lisa nodded. The scouts had located a large concentration of Void entities near a small mining colony. All civilians had been evacuated. This would be the first test of their combined forces. The Empress herself would lead the attack from the Fang of Dawn. She had insisted on being part of the first battle. Lisa suspected it was partly to show her support for the alliance, and partly because Voskan leaders always fought alongside their warriors. "Be ready, human." Zira said, "The Void is unlike any enemy we have faced. No honor, no fear, no mercy." Lisa touched the energy pistol at her side. The Voskan had given her one of their weapons as a sign of respect. It was almost too heavy for a normal human, but her enhanced strength could handle it. "I am ready, Commander," she replied. "We all are." As Zira walked away, Tella the scholar approached Lisa. She carried a data pad with new information. "The void entities appear to communicate with each other," she said. "We have detected energy patterns that suggest a hive mind. They share information. They coordinate their movements. That matches what we observed," Lisa said. "The question is, can we use that against them? If they share information, they might also share weaknesses." Tella nodded, her white scales reflecting the blue lights of the bridge. "I have a theory," she said. "When one void entity is made solid by the quantum field, it may affect others nearby. Through their connection, the effect might spread." Lisa considered this. "That could be valuable," she said. "If we could make more of them solid with fewer devices, we could target more at once." They discussed the possibility as the fleet prepared for battle. Human scientists and Voskan scholars working together had made more progress in 2 weeks than either species had made in months alone. The Empress entered the bridge, all Voskan standing at attention. Her orange eyes surveyed the preparations with approval. "We approach the enemy in 5 hours, she announced. "No Voskan has ever retreated from battle. We will not start today." A cheer went up from the Voskan crew, their voices deep and powerful. Lisa felt the vibration through the deck. She noticed human crew members joining the cheer, the two species finding common purpose in the face of a shared enemy. The hours passed quickly with final preparations, last weapons checks, emergency drills, communications tests. Finally, the fleet was ready. The Empress gave the order and the ships jumped to faster-than-light travel. The stars blurred outside the viewports. When they returned to normal space, they saw it. The void. A cloud of swirling darkness with flashes of red energy inside it, surrounded a small moon. The mining colony buildings were still visible, but no lights showed. No signs of life remained. "Empress, the sensors are having difficulty getting clear readings," said a Voskan officer. "The void disrupts our scanners. Use the human technology," the Empress ordered. "Their quantum sensors can penetrate the disruption." Lisa moved to a console that had been adapted for human use. She activated the special sensors developed on Earth. The screen showed clearer images of the void cloud it was made, up of hundreds, maybe thousands of individual entities, each about the size of a small car. They moved together like a school of fish or a flock of birds. "I count at least 800 entities," Lisa reported. "They are concentrated around the power generators of the colony. Still trying to extract energy." The Empress nodded. "Deploy the quantum field generators," she ordered. "Target the densest concentrations." Human technicians activated the devices. Large dishes extended from the ships. They began to pulse with white energy. The pulses shot toward the void cloud. Where they hit, the darkness solidified, taking on a more defined shape, like black crystal with red veins running through it. Now the Empress shouted, "All ships fire." The combined fleet opened fire, energy weapons from the Voskan ships, physical projectiles from the human vessels. Both targeted the areas made solid by the quantum field. The void entities shattered under the assault, fragments drifting apart before dissolving. The first wave of attacks was successful, but there were too many void entities. The quantum field could only cover a small area at a time. The fleet would need to fire the generators, reload, and fire again, many times to destroy all the void A's. The battle continued. The void seemed to realize the threat. It began to move, changing tactics. Instead of staying in one mass, it split into smaller groups. Some moved toward the fleet. "They adapt quickly," Lisa said, watching the tactical display. "They learn." The Empress stood from her command chair. "The void entities are attacking the generators," she said. "They know what hurts them." 3 smaller Voskan ships were surrounded by void entities. Their quantum generators went dark as the void consumed their energy. The ships themselves began to lose power, life support. "Failing engines shutting down. Evacuate those ships," the Empress ordered. "Send rescue shuttles." But the void was too thick around the stricken vessels. No shuttle could reach them. Lisa watched in horror as the ships went completely dark. Then they began to break apart as if being eaten from the inside. Hundreds of Voskan warriors lost in moments. The Empress' face showed no emotion, but her scales darkened with anger. "We need a new strategy," she said. "This approach is too slow." Lisa turned to Tella, who was analyzing data from the battle. "Remember your theory," she said, "about the hive mind. What if we overload one of the quantum generators? Make it affect more of the void at once." Tella looked up. The pulse would be much stronger, but the generator would burn out after one use. One of the human scientists overheard them. "We could modify the main generator on this ship," he said, "make it cover a much larger area, but we'd have to be close to the center of the void mass." The Empress heard the plan. "That would put this ship at great risk," she said. "The void would surround us." Lisa stood straight, looking up at the massive Voskan leader. "We have to try, Empress. Otherwise we lose the fleet ship by ship." The Empress considered for a moment, then nodded. "Make the modification," she ordered. "To the pilot, move us into position at the center of the void mass." The Fang of Dawn changed course, heading directly toward the heart of the darkness. The void entities seemed to sense the threat. They moved to intercept the massive warship. "All power to shields," the Empress commanded. "We must reach the center before they drain us." The ship plowed through the outer edges of the void. The shields flickered as the entities tried to feed on their energy. The human scientists worked frantically to modify the quantum generator, making it stronger, but also ensuring it would overload in a massive pulse. "We are in position," the pilot reported. The ship now floated in the center of the void mass, surrounded on all sides by the swirling darkness. Lisa watched the modification progress. 90% complete, the lead scientist reported. Just a few more minutes. But they didn't have minutes. The shields were failing. Void entities began to pass through, appearing inside the ship. Dark shapes with glowing red eyes. They moved toward power sources, toward living beings. "All personnel, defend the generator," the Empress ordered. "Every minute counts." Voskan warriors and human security forces formed a defensive ring around the engineering section where the modifications were happening. They fired at the void entities that got through the shields. The solidified creatures shattered, but more kept coming. Lisa stood with Zira and Tella defending one corridor. The void pressed closer. "Modifications complete." The scientist finally reported, "Ready to activate." The Empress gave the order. The generator hummed louder than before, building to a critical level. Then it released a massive pulse of white energy that shot outward from the ship. Through the viewports, Lisa watched as the pulse expanded. The void entities caught in it solidified, all of them at once. Thousands turned to crystal-like statues. Now the Empress roared, "All ships, fire everything." The combined fleet fired every weapon. The solid void entities shattered into countless pieces. The fragments dissolved into nothing. The mining colony moon became visible again, cleared of the darkness that had covered it. Victory, the Empress declared. The void is defeated, but Lisa knew better. This was just one group. There were more out there, many more. The war against the void had only just begun, but for the first time humans and Voskan had fought together and won. 6 months after the first battle against the void, Lisa stood at a window in the new Joint Command Center. The massive structure orbited a star exactly halfway between human and Voskan space. It was a symbol of the alliance that had grown stronger. With each passing day below her, hundreds of humans and Voskan worked together, planning strategies, developing weapons, sharing knowledge. The war against the void continued, but they were winning more than 30. Void swarms had been destroyed. The new improved quantum generators were more effective than ever. Susan Taylor had arrived from Earth yesterday to see the progress herself. She stood beside Lisa, now watching the activity below. "They look like they've been working together for years, not months," she said. Lisa nodded. "The Voskan respect strength," she said. "Humans proved our strength, not just in body but in mind, in spirit, in determination. The void gave us a common enemy, but I think this alliance would have worked even without that." Susan smiled. "You sound fond of them." "I am," Lisa admitted. Some more than others, as if summoned by her thoughts, Tella appeared at the door to the observation deck. The Voskin scholar had become Lisa's closest friend among the aliens. They had worked together, developing new ways to detect void entities before they could attack Tella's brilliant mind. Complemented Lisa's practical experience. The Empress requests your presence. Tella said, both of you. The Void Hunters have returned. Lisa and Susan followed Tella to the command center, the heart of the joint operations. The room was circular with stations for both human and Voskin personnel. In the center was a large holographic display, currently showing the movements of scout ships tracking void activity. The Empress stood tall and proud. Her armor now bore the symbols of both Voskin and human forces, a sign of her commitment to the Alliance. She nodded as they entered. Secretary Taylor, Commander Wilson. She greeted them, using their official titles. The Hunters bring important news. The Void Hunters were special forces, small fast ships crewed by both species. They tracked void movements throughout the galaxy, risking their lives to gather intelligence. Their commander, a Voskin named Krell, stepped forward. Her green scales bore scars from close encounters with the void. We have found it. Empress Krell said the source. The room went silent. Everyone turned to listen. Krell activated the holographic display. It showed a distant part of the galaxy, near the core, where stars were packed closely together. There in the middle of uncounted stars was a massive dark cloud, much larger than any void swarm they had encountered before. The origin point. Krell continued. All void entities come from this place. They spread outward, consuming energy, then return here. We tracked them for months following their movements. The pattern is clear. The Empress studied the display. How large is the source? She asked. Krell looked grim. Approximately the size of a small star system. Thousands, perhaps millions of void entities. Susan stepped closer. That would require more quantum generators than we have, she said. We can't solidify something that large. The Empress turned to Tella. The scholar had been researching void weaknesses since the beginning of the Alliance. Do you have an alternative strategy? Tella moved to the display, adjusting it to show her research. The void shares a connected consciousness, she explained. What affects one affects all to some degree. The source must be the center of that connection. If we could disrupt it somehow, Lisa understood what Tella was suggesting. Not solidify them, but separate them. Cut the connection between the entities. Exactly. Tella said, a quantum disruption wave instead of a field. The technology is similar, but the application is different. We don't need to make them solid, just break their bond to each other. Can it be done? Susan asked. Tella looked at the human scientists in the room. We would need to adapt the generators, she said. Create a wave that could cover the entire source. But yes, in theory, it is possible. The Empress made her decision. Make it happen, she ordered. This is our chance to end the void threat permanently, not just fight individual swarms. For the next month, the command center became a hive of activity. Humans and Voskin working day and night to modify the quantum technology. The largest ships in both fleets were equipped with the new disruption wave generators. It would take their combined power to affect the void source. Lisa helped coordinate the military response they would need to protect the generator ships long enough for the wave to build and release. The void would sense the threat. It would defend itself. Finally, the day came. The combined fleet assembled near the galaxy core. The Empress insisted on leading the attack personally. Her flagship, the Fang of Dawn, now rebuilt and improved, led the formation. Lisa stood on the bridge beside her. The human fleet was led by Admiral Kate Rogers, a veteran of many battles. All ships report ready. The communications officer announced. The Empress looked at Lisa. This alliance has served both our peoples well, she said. When this is over, what comes next? Lisa had wondered the same thing. Would humans and Voskin remain allies without a common enemy? The history of both species suggested conflict was more likely than continued peace. That is for our governments to decide. Lisa said diplomatically. But I hope we find reasons to work. Together, the galaxy has many challenges, not just the void. The Empress nodded, her orange eyes thoughtful. Then she turned to the fleet. Begin the approach, she ordered. All ships to battle positions. The massive fleet moved toward the void source. The darkness grew larger on the view screens as they approached. Sensors detected movement. The void was reacting. Swarms of entities moved to intercept the fleet. Defensive positions, the Empress commanded. Protect the generator ships at all costs. The battle began. Voskan warships formed a wall between the void and the generator vessels. Human ships darted between them, using their speed and precision to target any void entities that broke through. The quantum field generators were used to solidify smaller groups, allowing the fleet to destroy them, but the void source remained intact. More entities emerged from it, replacing those destroyed. The fleet could not keep this up forever. The wave generators need 10 more minutes to charge. Lisa reported, watching. The power levels rise slowly. We may not have 10 minutes, Zira said. 3 ships lost already. More surrounded. The Empress made a bold decision. We need to get closer, she said. The wave will be stronger at shorter range. All ships advance. The fleet pushed forward, taking heavy losses but moving closer to the source. The void entities became more numerous, more aggressive. They seemed to sense the threat. The wave generators posed. Lisa watched as a human cruiser was overwhelmed. Its lights flickered and died. The crew lost in moments. A Voskan destroyer suffered the same fate. The price of this mission was already high. 5 minutes to full charge, the technician reported. The generators humming louder. The power building. The void source seemed to pulse with red energy. It was responding to the threat. More entities emerged faster than before. They swarmed toward the fleet. We cannot hold them. Admiral Rogers' voice came over the communication channel. We are losing too many ships. The Empress stood firm. Her decision made. The Fang of Dawn will advance alone. She said we will draw their attention. The rest of the fleet, hold position. Lisa looked at the Empress in shock. That is suicide, she said. The flagship cannot survive that close to the source. The Empress turned to her. This is what leaders do. Human, they sacrifice when necessary. Before Lisa could argue further, the Empress gave the order. The massive flagship moved forward, leaving the protection of the fleet. The void entities swarmed toward it, drawn by its power signature and the threat it posed. The Fang of Dawn fired all weapons, creating a path through the swarm. The ship shuddered as void entities attacked its shields. The journey seemed to take forever. But finally, the flagship reached the edge of the source itself. 2 minutes to full charge, the technician reported. The generators at maximum capacity. The void surrounded the flagship. Shields failing, void entities appearing inside the ship. Lisa stood with the Empress on the bridge. As darkness crept in around them, the red eyes of the void watching them. I am honored to die beside you, human, the Empress said. You have shown the true strength of your kind. Lisa looked at the power readings. 1 minute to charge, she said. We just need to hold on a little longer. The bridge was chaos. Voskan warriors fighting materialized void entities. The darkness growing thicker. Lisa fired her weapon again and again, each shot destroying a solidified entity. But more kept coming. 30 seconds. The technician called out, his voice barely audible over the battle. The Empress stood in the center of the bridge, firing her massive weapon. She was magnificent in battle. Her armor scorched, her scales darkened with exertion, but her spirit unbroken. Seconds. 9. Ada void entity lunged at the technician. Lisa dove forward, tackling it, her enhanced strength enough to knock it away from the controls. 3, 2, 1 ready, the technician shouted. Release the wave, the Empress commanded. The technician pressed the final control. The generator released its energy, not in a pulse like before, but in a continuous wave that expanded outward from the ship. It passed through the void entities surrounding them. The darkness seemed to shiver, to fracture. The wave continued expanding through the source. The red energy within flared bright, then dimmed. The void entities stopped attacking. They drifted aimlessly, no longer connected. No longer a hive mind, just individual creatures without purpose or direction.